Everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are having a fantastic day from wherever you are around the world. And welcome back to another episode on the channel, anyway. And of course, today we are going to be talking about, as you can see by the thumbnail and the title, about Liverpool's midfield problem and what's happened, of course, since the Fulham game. Of course, we'll have news on Thiago. We'll have news elsewhere as well. And we'll also be speaking about, mine and, of course, Jack's thoughts and opinions about the midfield in general. And, of course, do Liverpool need to go into the transfer market and
Yes,
have a
yes,
look?
yes, 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 yes,
I
yes,
hate you
yes,
so
yes.
much. For another midfielder this summer, anyway. But, of course, you can see I am joined by Jack. Makendo TV. Anyway, Jack, how you doing, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Thank you very much for having me on. As I said, tried to get it on last night, but I know you were busy. But thank you very much for letting me come on the show, mate. Absolute legend. And yeah, can't wait to get stuck into it. Really, it's going to be an interesting debate as well.
Yeah, no, it will, 100%. Anyway, but guys, let me know how all of you are as well in the comment section down below. Brian's in saying even
That's
lads
Brian.
as well. Anyway, but we'll get on then and talk about what happened on Saturday and the overall midfield. Now, of course, Liverpool playing the usual three. Actually, no, we won't. We won't start with that yet. We will start on Thiago news. Now, Neil Jones has reported that Liverpool did the Thiago scan yesterday, and that the fact that it is a minor hamstring injury, so it's a matter of weeks now, not months, which is good news, but of course it's still bad news on that as well. But Jack, yet another Thiago injury. I know you did a video on it last night, and it was actually a quite good in-depth look at the Thiago side of things. Of course, I think I think you had the chat out yesterday saying that Thiago's only played one season where he's locked. Was it 30
Over,
games?
yeah,
With
yeah. He's
30
only
games in
had
the season.
over last 8 seasons. He's only completed 30 appearances in one campaign of his last 8, and we discussed, now he's one for 2 of them, mates. And we did speak about Liverpool. We knew all of his qualities. That Thiago, he is our best midfielder by a bloody country mile, and brings a lot to Liverpool's team. But it's his availability within the team, and obviously, as we see in this weekend, injured again, and he probably, if he does come back, more than likely off his history he's had and recent seasons at Liverpool, he probably will get injured again. And as we'll discuss tonight, mate, a lot of the midfield players, they've got question marks over them. It's their availability. It's so important, especially to really just gain momentum and rhythm, mate. It doesn't help when you're chopping and changing your midfield. Yes, players might have bad performances, and you probably will bring in 1 or 2 players into your midfield and try and freshen it up. But I think consistency is really key for a midfield cohesive unit, and especially the quality in which Thiago does offer when he's on a football pitch. We've not got no one in terms of that level in our midfield that we can replace him with, really.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think the worrying thing, I think, for Liverpool, and you look at the moment, the most injuries we have throughout the squad is midfielders at the minute. You look, I think, you go through the list: Thiago, Naby Keita. Now, Naby Keita is, Naby's meant to be back next week, but again, if buts and maybes. You've got Curtis Jones. You've got, again, the numbers are slowly going down as well. Ox as well as injured. I know Jurgen Klopp said on Saturday that we've got 8 midfielders, but when you look at it on the face of it, we've got Fabinho, Jordan Henderson, James Milner, and Harvey Elliott left. Really, one more injury, you're left with 3 midfielders in a 3-man midfield. It's not looking good, is it? And yes, you can even add Fabio Carvalho to that list as well. But as we've seen, Jurgen Klopp isn't interested yet in having him in a midfield 3. We've quite clearly seen he wants him on that left-hand side to be the backup to Luis Diaz. Anyway, hopefully, and I've said it plenty of times on the channel, hopefully he will develop down on that left-hand side of the midfield 3. But Jack, it's the fact that as well, like we've mentioned, when we're having to rely on a 36-year-old James Milner to come onto the pitch and make a massive difference, goes to show that something's wrong with the Liverpool midfield.
Yeah, I think always, I'm pretty sure Jurgen Klopp and the technical staff wishing Milner was 25, but the reality is he's 36. close to, I don't know if it was birthday this year, but he'll be 37 soon. And if we could freeze Milner and Kryptonite at the age of 25 and continue to play him, but the reality is he's leaving. Naby's got a year left on his contract. I think Thiago's got 2 years left on his contract. So he's got an extra year. I think Thiago's contract does run out, not this season, but next season. And we'll be having this exact talk about, do we re-sign Naby? I think it makes financial sense to sign Naby up. But in terms of the long term, Naby's not going to be, it wouldn't surprise me. I joked about it last night. I said, watch us let Naby go and he stays fit for the next club he joins. It will happen. I bet he won't get injured at the if he is to leave this year, the end of this year. And obviously Curtis Jones, he's still young, still 19, 20 odd years old. He's still got time to develop. He's not the finished article as of yet, as it stands. And even Henderson, mate. Henderson's had his injury histories as well, regardless of his ability on a football pitch. And as I said, mate, on my video yesterday, I'm not going to sit there, and I'm quite positive. You know me, Connor. You've known me for a couple of years, and a lot of you do know me. I'm quite positive, but I'm not going to sit here and say that they've had a good game when they haven't. That midfield was an absolute disgrace. I'm not just singling out Henderson. I'm thinking out all of them, even Fabinho as well. All of them were absolute shambles. And fair play has to go to Fulham, as we'll probably discuss tonight, mate. They look like Fulham. I know it's one game in, and luckily we've got 37 games to go, and that's the big thing. But it was a point gained as it was than a point lost. 2 points lost for me because the way Fulham played, they can in the post. Yes, we hit the post, but they had us absolutely terrorised us in certain moments in that game. And it's scary.
It's the fact that the midfield was terrible, and I think a little bit as well. And this does come down on Twitter and social media, and even on some Liverpool channels as well, where the scapegoat a little bit of Jordan Henderson having a bad game. It wasn't, I say bad game, it was a horrific game, but it wasn't just him. It was Fabinho, it was Thiago. I think for me, that's probably one of the worst Fabinho performances ever. I think in a Liverpool shirt, he's normally that reliable. And I think that comes down a little bit on, two things. For me, he looked absolutely shattered. And that whole midfield looked shattered as well. I think you talked about last night about, pre-season and Man City only playing 2 games, and I think 7 games, wasn't it, overall for Liverpool throughout pre-season.
And we were meant to have played Aston Villa as well, behind closed doors, after we played Fulham, but it was cancelled quite rightly because, quite frankly, we've got no midfielders to play in that game. And Gerrard's got a couple of injuries as well, but it's going to be mad, mate. And I'm hoping we do revise. And as I said, mate, on the show, and he pointed out, mate, on that episode, Pep, over the last couple of years, he's very adamant in giving his players rest due to the sheer minutes, not just Liverpool, but City do play over the last couple of years. And you probably will see the benefits of that in the next couple of weeks. City looked a lot fresher against the West Ham side that in the past, yes, Liverpool have got great results over West Ham, but last year they took points off us and they took points off Manchester City. And if you look at it, that's 2 points gained for Manchester City. If you look on the results in which they did have at the London Stadium, they drew at West Ham, but this season they've got all 3 points. Well, they've got an extra 2 points, so...
Well, you look at it a sense, and you've mentioned a really good point there about, City gaining 2 points, compared to last season where, they dropped 2 points. And for us, this awfully reminded me of Brentford away in some sense, but a lot more worrying, I'd say, for Liverpool, and I think I just said this on Doug's channel, the fact that for me, this was probably the worst, opening day fixture for Jurgen Klopp that we've seen from him, since being a Liverpool manager. And, he's spoken about, in the press conferences about attitude and how Liverpool didn't approach the game correctly mentally as well, which that for me is a worrying sign. The fact we're already, last season was, amazing, the fact it was, and we've had such of a rush back now because of the World Cup and so on. But to say the opening day of the season that you're not ready mentally for a Jurgen Klopp side that's very mentally prepared and mentally, goods, mentality monsters, as we know. But to come out and say that, it's very worrying for me. And look, I might be reading a bit too much into it. It's the first game of the season. I'd say as well to people, just chill out a little bit. It is the first game of the season. But there are certain areas where you should be a little bit concerned, like we're speaking about now about
Yeah,
midfield.
it's if that performance does creep into a lot more games this
Yeah,
season, and Haaland is playing for Manchester
like
City,
Haaland.
and if he continues to bang in the goals, and yes, Nunez will get goals as well, and Liverpool and City will score lots of goals. But it's if City do, as we spoke about, the points that they did lose last year, and City have lost in the previous years, City could pull away. And if Liverpool can see, well, if that performance does creep in and Liverpool get more injuries, and if we don't improve, and I think if those performances, like it's the and I've said it in the past, and I think I've had you on the show as well, and we've become very spoiled in recent years.
Yeah.
And to your point that you just mentioned there, mate, that's one great aspect, one great characteristic of Jurgen Klopp in recent times. He gets this team to go again, to go again, to go again. And as you said, if they can't go again on the first game of the season, then I don't want us chasing down a 15-point lead again.
Yeah.
I want us to be the team this season that is the team that is 15 points ahead of Manchester City this season.
Yeah, but this is how good this Liverpool side is. We could be complaining now. We could absolutely
and we could win the
Crystal
league
Palace.
by 10. Yeah, we could win the league by 10 points. And happy days. Hindsight is a wonderful thing in whatever you're analysing in the world. If you could see the crystal ball, but we just got to say it as it is at this moment. And I probably will be proven wrong as well. And that's what I want. I think all of us, we are proven wrong. And we're not questioning Jurgen Klopp, 100%. We are not questioning Jurgen Klopp. What we are is critiquing the result last night that a lot of people have done. And yeah, as I said, sometimes we have been spoiled, but it's the position we do find ourselves in.
Well, it is like I think me and you, we've spoken to plenty of people that have like grown around Liverpool when they were back in obviously the 80s and 90s and so on, and even they said the last 7 years for Liverpool has been among the best. Yeah, and it just goes to show, and the fact as well, I think that and I've seen, like I mentioned earlier, I think I've seen a lot of people going, "Oh, league's done, done and dusted. If we can draw against Fulham, it's done, it's dusted," and that, it's the first game of the season, guys. Look, and like I said on Saturday as well, disappointed. Of course, everyone is disappointed the fact that Liverpool drew the game, but we are in the first game of the brand new season. Some things are worrying, other people, and rightfully so. You can be worried about this, that, and the other. But to completely write off the season straight away, for me, I think is massively wrong. Like the whole Jordan Henderson thing. Did Jordan Henderson have a terrible game on Saturday? Yes.
Yeah,
was he the only one that had a rubbish game? No. There was a lot more players that had a terrible game on Saturday. For me personally, the only players that can say they did anything, I know Mo scored the goal, but Milner, Darwin, Harvey Elliott as well for me. I thought when he come on, showed a bit of fight as well, and that's about it. Maybe Andy Robertson as well in the first half, but even then, I think plenty of people have had.
I criticised him last night for him.
Yeah.
He should have stopped that cross. I know it's something simple, and it's not just Trent, as I spoke about last night, mate. For me, I analysed that goal as Liverpool got to that point for a reason. That attack should have been stopped at the first port of call. Like that ball from Henderson or whatever. Yeah. People said he got fouled, but at the end of the day, Henderson put himself in the position to be dispossessed or get fouled in that area. And then when you look at the Robbo cross, stop your cross. You learn as a 10-year-old playing in the park or something. Don't let the winger or forward cross the ball. Stop it. And then Mitrovic absolutely bullied. And as I said in the show last night, wait until we play Kiefer Moore at Bournemouth. Sorry.
Yeah,
he's going to be flying at that back post, and a lot of attackers this season will have seen that game on Match Today, or they would have watched the highlights, and the analytical teams of those teams will be going, right, get a big man on the back post for Trent. But Trent needed a bit of support, along with his defensive awareness was an absolute disgrace, as I said last night. But he's good at going forward, but he's still got to do the basic fundamentals of football. It's not like, he's a right back and he goes forward and he creates lots of goals, scores lots of goals. He's not meant to defend. No, he's meant to defend as well. And still, he's only 23 years old. in terms of his development, he's still a young player. But at the end of the day, when you're playing for a big club like Liverpool, he's done absolutely phenomenal. He's done absolutely amazing. And he will win probably more league titles at Liverpool. But sometimes, and as I said in the opening segments in my show yesterday, some of these players need help. He can't continue to go again. And Jurgen Klopp spoke about it. That's why he brought Nunez in. He went a bit different. Yes, we got rid of Mane, but we're trying a different approach. So is City.
It's the fact different. It's the fact that for me, I don't know if any of you guys as well, I'll read out the chat as well, so keep your comments coming in, guys, as well. For me, Liverpool and City are currently at the same phase at the minute. Both of us this summer looked like we needed a striker. We got a striker in. Next summer now, and including this summer as well, we're talking about midfielders. We're talking, and the worrying thing for me, a little bit looking at City, is the fact that they are openly talking about the likes of Bernardo Silva leaving and just being happy about it. And I'm like, a player that's, very valuable for Manchester City, and they're happily talking about, well, if he goes, he goes. If not, then fair enough. Like, if that was Liverpool, you look at Thiago now, Liverpool, like, yeah, we'll let Thiago go, this, that, and the other. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, Thiago is such an important, obviously not the injury part of Thiago, but, just in terms of the player. And you're like, it's a madness as well. And when City brought on, all of their substitutes against West Ham.
Bernardo, Mahrez, I was like, oh my God. I know it's City and we can't compete to that level, but at least we've got to be, I suppose people will say on the flip side of that chat as well, won't they? The money's there. And yes, Liverpool, recent success over the last 3-4 years, we are ran perfectly. We are a model. Just look at the state Barca are in at the minute. They're an absolute shambles. Well, Liverpool are probably one of the best functioning financial teams in Europe. And that is down to obviously the hierarchy of Liverpool and obviously Klopp for bringing success on the pitch as well.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, but guys, keep your comments coming in. I'll read out a few of them now. Anyway, Mark said very poor, look tired as well. I think the best comment of the night goes to Jack. Anyway, currently fixing my Thiago shirt as we speak. The A started peeling. Even his shirt doesn't last the season.
It's a sign.
It is a bloody sign as well. Evening, lads, as well, says Chris. Let's get on speed delta. Alberto Aquilani, he deserves a second chance for Jesus.
He's only a couple of years off the age of James Milner, so I don't know.
That's a mad one. Jesus Christ! Wait, does he even still play, or is he retired now? Alberto
I'm gonna check his age, but I'm pretty sure he's about 40 odd. But if he's under the age of 40, I'll be surprised.
Glad
I know he's retired. Yeah,
couldn't see us playing it after a Fulham game as well, says Mark. Alan is in as well, saying hi boys. Hello Alan, hopefully fantastic. He's gonna be 39 now, isn't he?
I'll chat this one without cheating. How old do you reckon Aquilani is now?
I'm gonna say 39.
He's 38 years old, Aquilani, and James Milner's 36. It goes to show how amazing Milner's physical fitness is. And I think, let's have a quick look. Madness. Yeah, I think he only retired a couple of years ago, which is mad. But yeah, we paid 20 odd million for him.
We'll talk about transfers in a moment. Anyway, I think we all have PTSD. I haven't even been able to even watch it back apart from the goals. And then Haaland does that on top. Says Scouser, exactly.
I was saying to you, Scouser, last night, in the video as well. I don't know why we do it to ourselves, but we just like watching good attacking football. But when Haaland's in the form he is, it's quite scary in reality.
It's the thing as well where I think all of us will turn around and admit it. Like, I think after the Community Shield, I think obviously we did a watch along. We were like laughing and taking the mick out of Erling Haaland, but all of us were like, yeah, he's gonna bang in about 30 goals this season.
Yeah, we were like, damn it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. Yeah, we can all take the mick of that miss that he did, but we all knew deep down, what a player he's gonna be at Manchester
Just
City.
Hunger, I know it puts City in such a strong position, but he's an amazing player, and I don't think any of us really had any questions of if I know we took the mickey, he's going to be another team winner, but that was a joke because we've all seen him over the last couple of years, even at his time at Salzburg. It's a bit sad that we, no disrespect to Minamino, but when we looked at that squad, we didn't look at Haaland.
Yeah.
Like, he was in that team, but we went for Minamino instead. But,
I think everyone goes back to that. It's like, oh yeah, Liverpool signed Minamino instead of Haaland. It's like it's a little bit different like that because we needed a squad player, and Haaland was quite clearly a starting 11 player. But then you make that work, and it's.
But at that point, like that season, probably our lads up front were playing amazing. Then, so
to be fair though, I think as well there was an agreement there with Dortmund, like similar how now it's like Sesko has now, I think he's completed a move to
agreed
Leipzig.
on RB Leipzig,
Yeah, and just continued in that way. And I think that's something similar as well, to be fair. But either way, like Erling Haaland, and it annoys me a little bit where we had Sky Sports on Sunday were surprised of how good he actually was. Like, did you watch anything like in the last couple of years that he was playing for Dortmund?
Sky Sports, mate, in it. So
yeah, and the fact as well, they were like, oh yeah, I think Neville said it, like he couldn't believe how cheap the deal was for Erling Haaland, and like
the buyout.
Deal's not, A, he had a buyout, and B, the deal altogether is not cheap whatsoever.
Yeah, he's on. What is he, like 1.5 million? Like
he's on. I think he's on about 375k a week without bonuses. With bonuses, it's a lot more. I think you're looking at like 500, 600.
Yeah, I was watching a video on Jamie Phillips' football chat. Shout out Jamie as well. And him and Savage were discussed today, and it made me laugh. It was the fact that Sky kept on panning to Haaland's dad. Like, and Jamie and Savage mentioned on the show today, he wasn't even that good of a player.
No.
Like, but you're making him out like he's fucking.
I really want him and Roy Keane to just stare at each other for some reason.
Yeah. Put them in the same studio. That'd be great. That.
Like, which one comes out first?
That'd be great YouTube content. That's how I want to see the videos clipped up after that video anyway. So
absolutely. Anyway, but Mark says anyway, we need to win these games through harder ones to come. As well, Gary says Tally O'Connor and Bobby can never start for Liverpool again. I wouldn't.
Gary's went dead ash there.
I would agree though that Darwin does start against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and I was speaking to Gary. We've all said, all of us, probably after that game, to our mates or family members, and went, "Why have we just spent all that money?" I get Jurgen Klopp. Yes, Jurgen Klopp doesn't like sometimes to throw players in straight away, but when you pay that amount of money, and with the loss of Mane as well. If Firmino was coming off the back of, yes, he had a great performance against City, I don't think any of us, it wasn't just Bobby as well. People were scapegoating Bobby. It was a whole team collective. And I criticised Bobby last night because he deserved criticism. But it wasn't just his fault, as we said, Connor, tonight, and a lot of chat as well. It was the whole team as a collective unit. But, yeah, you don't spend all that money and don't start him. He scored, 2 goals back-to-back now? He scored, obviously, he got a goal and assist, and everyone's going, the assist was a bit jammy, but you need to be in that position to get that assist.
Well, I think either way, if you look at it, if Mo isn't there, he takes it on his right foot. Either way, so either he scores that or it's an assist. It's as simple as that. But I think he is now only the third player in Premier League history to get a goal and assist. I think the other ones were Sergio Aguero and Alvaro Morata, of all players, to do it.
That's a good quiz one, that, isn't it? I mean, you want to get that Morata one.
Yeah, if anyone wants it, there you go. But yeah, he does join. I think he's read it earlier. I think it's he's only the third player or the third striker to get that anyway on his Premier League debut. Anyway, so Alan says, my worry is that Trent doesn't seem to be enjoying his football for the last few months. Is it time to let him play in midfield? I've seen a couple of people mention this and go that, when Calvin Ramsey's back from injury, then Liverpool should play Calvin Ramsey at right back and allow Trent to go into midfield. For me personally, I'd say no. I think that Trent, he's the best right back in the world, and the way Liverpool play, like, I wouldn't be against the idea of maybe if we're 2-3 up in a game that we change something and then try it for half an hour or whatever. But I just think that Trent is still, and the way Liverpool play and the system plays, he's far better as the right back of the club. I could be wrong, and maybe that's it. Maybe Trent needs to go into midfield, but I do still think that he should be Liverpool's right back. And maybe I am wrong.
I disagree with you there, La. It's good to disagree. I always have to
get out my channel. Get off. No, I'm
Yeah,
joking.
I'm a yes man. No, but I agree with what I think we spoke about this last night. You were in the chat as well, mate, on my channel. Especially if we don't bring in anyone. Like Trent has got that, and we spoke about it last night. His defensive duty, he's got the mind of a forward or an attacking midfielder or someone that plays higher up the pitch, Annie, because sometimes when you watch him defensively, his positioning's not there. And yes, he's still 23 and he's got a lot of time to develop. But if Thiago was out injured, who's going to be that creative outlet in midfield, especially if Elliott's not available or a Carvalho's not available in certain games? I know everyone's like,
Chase
oh, we
Fury.
play. Oh, yeah, Christ. If he honestly plays a game for Liverpool this season, I'm deleting my channel. Chase Fury.
Don't say that. Don't.
No,
Why have you said
no,
that?
but for me, it's an option for Jurgen. And I'm hoping he has. And I know Jurgen's been probably on record and Pep Linders is saying he's the best. Yeah, and he is the best right back in world football. In his position, why would he change it? But as the season progresses in Liverpool, if we are continuously struggling to create from those midfield areas, if there's no Thiago, and as he said, Calvin Ramsey is available, or even Joe Gomez would provide you a bit more defensive solidity. And Gomez, as we see against Forest, he played right back and he got an assist as well. He can play a bit forward, Gomez, but it'd give you that more defensive reassurance.
Do
and
you
it'd
think that? Sorry
let Trent be a bit more forward thinking.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you think that Liverpool could play back three?
It's an option, mate. Especially if we got once Canate's back fit, and obviously we got Nat Phillips as well. Yes, we could.
Because I think we've tried. I think we tried it once, and that was against Stoke, and I think we won. I think we won 2-1. Like this was back in obviously the Coutinho days.
Is that when we threw Origi on as well, and we went Gunno?
I think it was it was Coutinho and Bobby who scored the winners. I think Mignolet made 3 good saves that should never have been saves, but I think we ended up. I think it was Shan, Emery Chan, Lovren, and Matip. I think the back 3 was that day. I could be wrong with that. But I think that's another interesting thing. Can Liverpool play a back 3? It's a potential option, but I wouldn't be against seeing Trent in midfield. And I absolutely get your point, but I don't know. I just think that probably because I'm so used to, and a lot of people are so used to seeing the system, the right back system, the Robbo, the Trent, and the wing backs type thing. But I don't know. It'd be interesting. I wouldn't be against it.
It's last season as well, mate. And what we want, and Jurgen Klopp most importantly, Jurgen, we want Jurgen, Pep Linders and the lads to have as many options as possible to win a game of football. And when we look at the results Liverpool have had that have lost us the league in terms of getting silly draws or a loss here and there, and we're talking small margins, aren't we? We're talking a space of 1 point or 2 over the last couple of years, and it's been quite remarkable the standards in which City and Liverpool play. But the more options Liverpool have, and I'm hoping that we have ventured, and I got Pep Linders' book as well, and obviously everyone go and implore you to go and read it, because I've read a couple of chapters and it's great insight to a lot of the players that we're talking about as well, and it really gets you thinking. And I probably will do a couple of show ideas as well in terms of what Pep does discuss within certain players, and he speaks about Gomez in terms of how he plays, in terms of his ball playing. Obviously Joel Matip as we expect, but Linda was on about obviously Joe Gomez in terms of how good he is, how we surprised him, Gomez, in terms of his ball playing from the back. And obviously, we all know Joe Gomez is quite rapid over, but it's just great insight. But we all want the more options, but it comes from whether that we bring in a player or Jurgen Klopp is one of the best managers. And I know Pep Guardiola, he's got a big checkbook. The one thing Pep and Klopp do, and something that has been classed as Tuchel in terms of him not getting the best out of his players. I think they get with Klopp and Guardiola. They get the best out of their players and they improve players as well. And they fit the certain system. And but yeah, time will tell, mate, and chat. But we're in good hands with Jurgen, but I just wish sometimes over the last couple of years, just see we signed that extra one player that could have helped us in a certain game. 1 or 2 games that would have helped Liverpool push on a bit more.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, sorry if I am looking that way. I've just watched Ismaila Sarr absolutely butcher a penalty for Watford right
What's
now.
the
So
score? He
it's
scored a world, didn't he?
yeah, he did. The score is currently 1-1, and he just butchered a penalty.
What minute's that in?
73rd minute of the
Oh,
minute.
they've bottled it, haven't
But
they?
yeah,
Everyone's got.
back. It was the most worst penalty ever. I was looking at it up there and I was like, Jesus Christ, what an
I was gonna
absolute
say,
mess
flew
that
over
was.
Connor's telly by the looks of it. Yeah.
No, it was one of them. The goalkeeper saved it, but it was one of the worst shots ever. I think anyway. But you and Connor work well together. Jack as well says, Alan, thank you very much for that as well. Yeah, he is annoying. Sometimes I do have to hush him down.
Chat knows anyway. I annoy them as well. So.
No, I'm joking. Let me go back up to Scous's comments. By the way, West Ham team looked like a 10th place team. Yeah, yesterday. You know,
They were a shambles.
they did look bad yesterday. I'd go for Tielemans still. He offers something so different. He reminds me of Ox in 2018 when he was unreal for that year. So direct, it's boss to watch. Not saying let's throw 50 million at him, but I try anyway. I think
Yeah, Connie, you know what I'm gonna say, mate. Scholes, no. You can tell you haven't watched my video last night. Because, mate, Tielemans in Liverpool's midfield, one of the biggest problems Liverpool, especially in Fulham, exposed was Liverpool's lack of athleticism. And we spoke about that in yesterday's video, like for a good an hour and 47 minutes. Liverpool have not got legs in midfield, especially when a game does get stretched, like a physical midfielder. Henderson used to be that, but injuries have crept up on Henderson. We seen him burst on the scene from a young lad from Sunderland, and obviously when we signed him. But Liverpool lack sheer athleticism and a player that can go forward and backwards with ease. But there's not many players like that in Europe that are actually, we'll speak about later in terms of the midfield options, but there's not many around. But Scholes, Tielemans, Minam's quicker than Tielemans. Air movements. Yeah,
for me, he's lazy. Very lazy.
He's lazy and he's not got the pace to play in Liverpool midfield.
Well, Anthony's asked by you. Thank you for popping in, Anthony, as well. Says, would you guys take Maddison or James Ward-Prowse? For me, James Ward-Prowse, apart from delivery-wise, James Ward-Prowse would not be good. Maddison,
interesting.
I think as a 10.
I think I was going to say we've already got Carvalho, who's probably similar player in terms of the way he plays. Obviously, Maddison's a 10, someone that can get goals, and hopefully Carvalho will be that long-term player. But Maddison's a good player. I'm surprised Arsenal haven't got that over the line because that's one player that they have been linked with in the past, mate, isn't he? And James Ward-Prowse is corners, and we've been there with Charlie Adam. Fergie come out going, Charlie Adams' corners are worth 50 million themselves or whatever it was back then. We signed him and the man couldn't even take a corner for us. I bet you if James Ward... Yeah, oh Christ, yeah. He lost me about 1 week. We won't talk about that. When he played for, was it Stoke? Yeah.
Probably.
It was Stoke. Oh, somewhat. Shite.
But Maddison poo as well. Owen's in as well. Hello, Owen. Hopefully on a fantastic day, my friend. Saying, evening all. Trent can play right back or in midfield, but he needs to cover. He needs cover for when he goes forward. Hendo is slowing down, unfortunately. Yeah, 100%. I would agree 100%. Milner, Spearing and Milner in the 3, alongside Fabinho, of course. Anyway, do you know what?
I'm jumping out of the window if that happens to me.
That will be the ultimate troll, like last season.
Oh,
Jurgen Klopp, I think, was it James Milner he put centre back and then complained about centre back. That will be in January when we have no midfielders and Jay Spearing starts and Jurgen Klopp's like, I need midfielders.
Gets to January and somehow Liverpool are like a point behind City, and like Klopp's
Jay Spearing's the one that puts it there. That's going to be ridiculous. Issue I see with bringing Trent into midfield is that he gets less time and space to get the ball across the box. It's an angles game. The reasons why he can get the ball on the plate is from that position as well, from Jack as well.
But you'd say Scholes. I know Kevin De Bruyne's probably a slight level above, but De Bruyne can do it. Gerrard done it. Alonso done it. And as I said, interesting point made with the angles, as he said, but to think about it, Trent's, as a young lad in the Liverpool system, he's predominantly been a forward attacking player. I think he was a wide right midfielder or someone that so he's used to playing in midfield. Not 10, I don't think he played central midfield, but he was down like the right hand side, the attacking areas. And as he said, we haven't got a heat map tonight, Con or chat. But if we looked at one of the based off the last couple of years, pretty sure Trent would gravitate to that central area. And we've all watched Trent over you gone the game as well. Especially last year, Trent, he always picked up that inside midfield position. Especially when Harvey was playing, Harvey would go wide and then Salah would cut in. But yeah, it'd be interesting. And I'm hoping it's something that we do explore. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then we revert going back to Trent. But it wouldn't be, I'd say there'd be no harm in it. But when we're talking about small margins, it's probably not best advised. But if it does get bad, when we're Liverpool struggling to really struggle. But yeah.
Let me quickly get Owen's comment off a minute. Apologies. Anyway, that is Trent Alexander-Arnold's heat map for last season. Which you look at that, it's either the right hand side or like very high right hand side midfield. Yeah. And you'd expect that to be the exact same for this season as well. Probably even a bit more inside as well as of course Jack, you said about Trent moving a bit more inwards throughout the season anyway. But to go back into Owen's comment, Klopp wouldn't play a back three because it's against his philosophy learned during his Mainz days as well. Bobby could go back into midfield as well. Again, I think we talked about this throughout pre-season. If it was a 4-2-3-1, I think he automatically sorts out that 10 role. But then you then have to take out a midfielder, and in a 2, you'd most likely go with what? If you have a fully fit Liverpool squad, you have what? Thiago and Fabinho in the 2?
Yeah.
And that, I think even though that's Henderson's best position as well, as a 6, we'll speak about
Klopp
it
said,
well.
Klopp said his best position is a 6, and that's coming from the words of Jurgen Klopp himself. But as you said, mate, I think we spoke about Firmino, and a lot of people have. Yes, Firmino got criticised, and I criticised him last night, but I felt sorry for it. Firmino was literally, and it probably was his own fault, but it was mainly due to tactics. Firmino was having to drop deep, and that was the problem when we played Fulham. Firmino was dropping in more or less. He was deeper than Fabinho at certain moments, and then you've got no creative outlet up front. You've got Diaz and Salah getting out wide, and there's no one there. Well, that's due to the tactics. Rafa, full on Rafa. Facts. But I think he'd do well in a midfield because he gravitates to that position eventually anyway within a game. When you see him picking up the ball, he's dropping deep anyway, and then he's breaking the line potentially when he does have a good game. So it's, yet again, other options. Yeah. And there will be a point where we all watch that and you always go back to it because that was an absolute joke of a game last season. That Spurs game at home, at Anfield, probably one of the most worst games I've watched of Liverpool over recent years. We just kept them spamming crosses.
I think is the best word.
Those games will happen this season, but it's what Liverpool do. And if we can, especially considering our record last year against the top 6 or top 4 teams was abysmal. Yes, we got a couple of draws and the odd results, but that's where you look at it, Connor. As you said, City picked up points against West Ham. They've 2 points off. They've improved on 2 points, but if Liverpool this season can improve their top 4 position, and yes, but if we do improve those results, hopefully we don't drop points like we did against Fulham.
100%. I think the big thing for Liverpool as well, and we'll end the little bit of this in the Fulham debate as well. You look at Liverpool's next 2 fixtures, for example, Crystal Palace at home and then Manchester United away as well. For me, must-win games. And again, I think the next 5 games now for Liverpool. I'm trying to quickly get the fixture list as well because I only literally go by 3 games in a row anyway. But I think that the fact that we all talk about now you have to be at that 100-point area, you have to be near it. The fact that these games coming up are huge for Liverpool. If Liverpool were to drop points against Palace now on Monday, imagine the outcry again. Depending on the midfield as well. And quickly as well, Jack, I'll ask you as well, what would be your midfield 3 for Palace? Because I think, judging by social media and judging by other channels as well, I think everyone has the same midfield, what they want to see. Whether or not we'll get to see it is another thing.
For me, who we've got left? Fabinho.
Yeah.
Elliott on the right of the three. And due to the performance in which he did play and we're at home, I'll play Milner. Because what you will get, he'll get into these lads. I think with Milner, I know Milner was one of the best players on the pitch when he come on, and he actually started creating stuff, and he's good. But Milner's allowed the odd game where he starts for me, but we shouldn't be relying on Milner for like a 38-game season, but he can play the odd game here and there. Yeah. And for me, it's what he does on the pitch in terms of you get the performance from him, and he won't, if he drops a clanger, but what you will get is the attitude. He won't allow. I think the one thing Jurgen Klopp will want after the Fulham results is leaders on the pitch. Someone that will be willing. And even if Endo has a bad game, Milner will tell him straight. He's not afraid to give Endo a rollicking, really. But for me, if Naby's fit, I'd go with Naby on the left. Then I'd go Fabinho in the 6, and then obviously Elliott. But if Naby's not fit, I'd go with Milner. Yeah. Elliott, and then Fabinho.
That would be my midfield 3. It would be Fabinho, Naby, and Harvey Elliott. I think that's a must for Palace. Especially, we've seen, against Arsenal with Palace, they didn't have the best of games, don't get me wrong. But when they did go forward, they were very creative and, were unlucky not to score, I think, at times against Arsenal. But again, if Liverpool play anywhere near like we did with Fulham, Liverpool concedes happily against Crystal Palace at Anfield anyway. But to go over the next fixtures, of course, we've got Palace, United, Bournemouth, Newcastle, and then we've got the Ev then at 12:30 on the 3rd of September.
I think City's run chat as well. I think their run first couple of games literally not got any hard games. No. So I think they can get quite mad. Yeah, quickly get there.
I think their hardest one is against Chelsea in 5 weeks' time, something like that.
Yeah, but quickly.
I could be wrong with that, but I know they play a strong team because judging by fancy football. Anyway, I've forgotten to make a league. Hopefully we'll try and do that this week. Anyway, I checked. I'm 3rd in your league, by the way, and I think you're top.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. But yeah, quickly going through City. I've completely forgot about this. City have got a friendly with Barcelona on the 24th, and that's after the Newcastle game, which is mad. Because imagine the uproar. Imagine the uproar if, I think it's for the foundation. I think with Pep Guardiola, Barca Foundation as well. Probably City's going to give them some more money as well. Backhand. But obviously City got Bournemouth, then you got Newcastle away. Then you got Palace at home, and then you got Forest. Yeah, and then you got Villa, Tottenham, Wolves, United. But you'd expect them more or less to beat Tottenham. I was saying that Tottenham's Tottenham, but
Tottenham's Tottenham, but
basically City the first couple of fixtures. Yeah, you'd expect City to get maximum points out of the next 5 Premier League games, wouldn't you? So you don't expect it, but football can be football sometimes.
Yeah,
but we done it last year though, Con. I remember being in the stadium with you, and probably when Palace did beat City, we dropped points on that match week. And it's we've done that twice, I think, at the beginning of the season. City dropped points and then we just didn't win.
It was the Brentford and Brighton draws that we drew. Yeah. And it was that cost us the league. When you look at it like that. Anyway, but Owen says Tillemans doesn't have the dynamism. Yeah, exactly. Dynamism. Sorry, gotta pronounce that. Jack has to be taken in small doses. Lol. We do have the best community.
Yeah, Mark was warned when he became a subscriber. There we go, Daniela.
Yeah, don't worry. We're all mental, really, in real life. If you ever meet us in real life, Conor Gallagher would be great in this midfield. Be decent, but I think price tag wise, you're looking at 60-70 million pounds.
I love Gallagher as a player there. Sorry, Con and chat. I just think he's going to be. I hope he's not wasted at Chelsea, but it's Chelsea, and it wouldn't surprise me to just stockpile midfielders. Because he's just got that new lad from Aston Villa, the young lad. He's got a bright future.
What, Chakwueze or whatever his name is.
But if you read into the other accounts of the journals and that, he's got quite a good rapport in terms of the academy football, and it's one for the future. But time will tell.
They got George as well in the chat as well. Liverpool
George.
have winnable fixtures now. 18 points are up for grabs. Hopefully, Gary. Anyway, Naby, Fabinho, and Elliot as well as Gary's gone with. Would you sign Mount? He runs his arse off all game. Absolutely not. Not Mason Mount.
I disagree as well. It depends though. I love Mount as a player. I think I tell you what Klopp would do with Mount. Thing is, I think Mount got Chelsea's Player of the Year last year. He gets you goals and assists. But the thing is, as we spoke about, athleticism. Mount he's got an engine on him. Similar with Gallagher as well. When you look at Palace last year, especially when you played City, like the thing what you and Liverpool got to be careful of off the back of playing Fulham, who literally ran their socks off. Palace are probably one of the most quickest teams in the Premier League, and we've seen that in the past when Palace come to Anfield as well. They've frustrated us at moments, and we've got to make sure. But it's a Monday under the lights on a Monday night football. The crowds will be there. It'll be interesting to see the players.
It's like a European night, won't it? And I think especially the reaction from Fulham as well would be, to
well, you'd hope.
Get the boys up, you'd hope so anyway. I know we have Harvey and Carvalho, but Mount is consistently a reliable box-to-box if need be as well.
And I think Mount's contract. Yeah, I was going to say, he's got a year left, I think. I'll quickly look now, but Mount, if you can get him on a free, Christ. I tell you what, Pep Guardiola would be all over Mount, I tell you. If he become available, it'd be all over Pep Guardiola's radar, especially if they are losing Bernardo in the next 2 years or something. So,
no, 100%. Anyway, but Elskouser says, I'd play Milner while he's fresh, and we have the 5-sub rule to cover as well. And I wouldn't argue with it. I'm not going to lie. To be awfully honest with you, of course, he said, if not, I'd happy with Harvey getting game time. Sad to see Curtis fall further down the order as well. But the thing is, for me with Curtis is when there's gaps in the squad for Liverpool, Curtis Jones is never there to make that step up, like we've seen over the past years in terms of centre halves, where you had Virgil van Dijk, but then on the other side to him, Joel Matip would be there, would get injured. Dejan Lovren was there, got injured. Joe Gomez then went there and was Liverpool's centre half for 6-7 months, where Liverpool I think conceded. Was it like 6 goals or something like that? Ridiculously well in like 30-odd games. And then there's no looking back from that. And that's the thing for me with Curtis Jones. Right now would be the best opportunity to put your name firmly down and go, look, I should be the one to, break through that midfield barrier. Yeah. But he's injured. So, again, he's not helping himself by that. Of course, it's never nice, and it's never, the player doesn't want to be injured, of course. But it's always getting that right timing in certain situations, I'd say as well. I don't like Mount, says Mark as well. Does he have a year left in his deal?
2024, so not this year, but next year. Yeah, his contract ends.
Even that, if you put in,
and he's still 23 as well. So if he was to leave, he'd leave 25 years old. So
what, a 30 million bid for Mount? Anyone? Anyway, but hopefully a rest will do these players are good anyway. But we will talk then about transfers and talk about, of course, midfield targets. And does Jurgen Klopp go back into the market? Now, I haven't got it up, but Fabrizio Romano has come out and said that Liverpool will be in the market if an opportunity does come up in the market. Now, the big question is, where on earth is an opportunity in the market going to come out of? Does that mean, of course, if Borussia Dortmund finally say, "Oh, okay, we're going to sell Jude Bellingham"? Of course, that's not going to be the case. I
think it depends, Con, as well, in chat. So that if Liverpool sustained another massive injury to one of our midfielders for a long sustained time, I don't think Klopp's got any way of crawling out or any excuse he can use now. Yeah. Like, if his back was against the wall, if Liverpool were to say lose at Fabinho or Henderson for like a couple of months, literally will be playing Jay Spearing in midfield. Like that,
Jay Spearing, don't mention that guy's name in this chat anyway. But I did say anyway on Twitter that for me, like these two, for me personally, are the dream for Liverpool. And I think it's not only Liverpool as well. I think it's Man City as well. And it is Jude Bellingham and, of course, Nicola Barella as well. Obviously, I would prefer Bellingham I know Jack would prefer Barella.
Well order.
Now, the problem is, obviously, we've spoken about Jude Bellingham, and Liverpool, of course, inquired about Jude Bellingham back at the beginning of June as well. But of course, Borussia Dortmund told Liverpool that he's not for sale until next season. The thing is with Barella, unless it's something around 80, 90 million euros, you're not getting him out of Inter Milan either. And that's the problem with Liverpool. And I think even for next summer as well, have kind of backed themselves into a corner, which every single club now knows Liverpool are after a midfielder. Oh no, of course, we all know that, of course, Julian Ward will hopefully do a phenomenal deal of some sort. But
sorry, Dale.
Well,
breaking news. I think you mentioned it before. We put one of the journals was a nice one for that, Daz, anyway. Yeah, as chat is saying, it's just trickling through. 60 minutes ago, Thiago facing up to 6 weeks out with a hamstring injury. So 6 weeks. And that's, you could have lost the league title by then in 6 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It's not good. Great news. It's
not ideal.
6 months. 6 months. 6 weeks. Sorry.
6 weeks. Sorry. Bloody old chat.
No, that was me then saying 6 months. Yeah, but I just read it now. I face it the 6 weeks out. For me, again, we're speaking about transfers now. Liverpool have to go in the market. I'm sorry. Like, again, if we want to win the Premier League, we have to go into the market. As simple as that. But Jack, for me, Liverpool have backed themselves into a corner a little bit where teams now know Liverpool are after a midfielder, where if you'd gone a bit earlier in the market, you might have got someone for a decent deal. But I think Liverpool now have to splash the cash. And if you went to Borussia Dortmund now and went, right, there's £100 million, take it or leave it, I think something would happen with it.
Yeah, for me, and we all know financially, Inter are absolutely knackered. And it won't be a case of just Liverpool going in for Barella. I know probably Real Madrid is sorted with Tchouaméni and Camavinga and a lot of their other players as well. But City, as I've said, and we spoke about City's aging midfield as well, both Liverpool and City's midfielders are at very similar ages in terms of Rodri, De Bruyne's 29 or something close to going 30. And obviously Gundogan's 29, 30 odd years old. So, and if you do lose Bernardo, he's 27, 28 as well. So, it's going to be interesting, not just Liverpool, when we're rejuvenating our squad in midfield over the next year or 2 or 3. City as well, and a lot of other European clubs as well. If you look around Europe, there's a lot of everyone's midfields are aging. And when you look at the pool of players, especially at a young age, there's not a lot of options. So everyone's going to be going for the similar names, like the top 5% of midfielders in world football at a certain age bracket or certain quality. Everyone's going to be bidding for everyone.
The only name that I could look at, and of course he got mentioned on Twitter as well, we mentioned him on a video as well, so I got the thing for it, is this guy, Matthias Nunez, 23, very versatile midfielder. The problem is, I think earlier on in the summer, it was quoted that 35 million euros, which I think now would be put further up because, of course, the season started in Portugal, and he's their captain, I think, as well in Sporting. So to get him out of there would cost a lot more again. But it is that fact, Jack, and you've mentioned it perfectly there. Liverpool at the minute have backed themselves massively in a corner. Again, unless there is a midfielder that none of us can think about that Jurgen Klopp and Pep Linders and the whole transfer committee has looked at and gone, right, we can get him on the cheap or a reasonable fee. Go and get him.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And even Fabinho, best option, really. None of us, anyone saying that they knew Fabinho was coming to Liverpool was telling absolutely porcupines. Because we announced after the Champions League final, and that was under the radar. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, Liverpool do their business. Their best business is when no one really knows. Even Jota, I think we were linked for him for a couple of days, and then we signed him straight away. And you're like, whoa, bloody hell. And I'm hoping that's the case after the news tonight. And given, as we said at the top of the show, and as chat said, Liverpool knew exactly what they were buying with Thiago in terms of his quality and his injury record as well. Nabbies. So there's going to be massive discussions over the next 12 months or hopefully the next couple of weeks. Liverpool need to sort something. Because we've been it's basically we've been avoiding this Liverpool have been avoiding this. The
Well,
fact,
we haven't really mentioned it.
huh?
Tuchemeni was a target this summer,
Yeah,
and obviously he went to Real Madrid. But Liverpool and midfielders has been a topic now. I would say for 2 years or 2 summers at least. Anyway, remember last year where we were, it was the whole thing, wasn't it? Of the Genie replacement. Who's going to be the Genie Wijnaldum replacement? Never happened. I think, as Sir Oswald has said in the chat, but a Genie type player would be fine. And it's that thing where who is out there. I know I said a couple of years ago I would have liked Jurgen Klopp to have Renato Sanchez in his team. I think Renato Sanchez, yeah, he went to PSG for like 10 million euros, which is a steal. When you look at it like that. And I just think that again, it's the fact that I think Liverpool have missed out now on the market. And there probably is someone out there, like we have mentioned.
Yeah,
That
Liverpool will have like the A, B, C, and
Yeah.
D options. We're not like Man United.
No, we're not
where
like,
we
oh,
go,
we want Frankie
yeah,
de Jong and then Rabiot.
yeah, yeah. Oh Christ, just Arnautovic. Arnautovic and Ngalo up front. I know they got rid of Ngalo, but yeah, no. As you said, there, Meza and Chas, we will get our B, C, D or target. Liverpool aren't going to be bullied into submission of, oh yeah, we want this money. And if Liverpool were quoted 100 million for Barella, and we didn't want to pay it as much as we want, because we know he's a good player, but Liverpool go, yes, Sans. No, you're right. We'll go on to another player. And Liverpool's strike rate and hit rate in recent times, especially under Jurgen Klopp, and has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. Alan said that, and thank you to everyone as well putting in the chat as well. Sorry, I didn't see it myself. I was getting the little things up anyway. But yeah, Thiago is out for 6 weeks, confirmed all by the reports anyway. But big thank you to everyone in the chat for putting it down below anyway. Connor Cody is leaving the Midlands. I know you will laugh. Yes, he's going to relegation form. Relegation bound, the Ev. Anyway, but don't forget one thing about Jude Bellingham. He's only 19, very young as well. Exactly, but that's why the price tag is so up as well with Jude as well, because you are getting a player realistically that you're going to have for 10 years, a bit more probably.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly as well. But so says, damn it, I missed the start of this. But we really do need a reliable box-to-box midfielder. They don't even have to be world class. Just not made of Weetabix. Anyway, and Gary's gone. Gavi, splash the cash on him. Gavi, you're talking ridiculous money.
I hope he doesn't sign that new contract, because
I think he's already signed it.
Has he?
Yeah.
I think if he has signed his new contract, he's got $1 billion buyout and no one's buying him.
Yeah,
no
exactly. Genie type player would be fine. 1892 Reds podcast. Then hello, lads. I said Tuchemeni was always going to Madrid. Yeah, he was. 100%. Sanchez has a lot of injuries. He does, but I don't know. I just would have liked to have seen him under Jurgen Klopp. I think there is a decent player in there. I think anyway. Milner, Henderson, and Spearing for Palace lads as well. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Guess we will soon find out who's about Kabak, who's our Kabak in midfield is.
It will be interesting though if it does get quite messy in terms of any other injuries in midfield. That was mad, and Jurgen Klopp never usually does it. So when we were wanting centre halves,
Ben Davies and Kabak.
Yeah, when literally it took Jurgen Klopp in a press conference, he basically publicly outed FSG to say, get me some signings, will you? Yeah. Even if it's a player on loan. But he might actually need to do it, especially if it does get in dire straits.
I've just seen whoever's put that, either Luke or Ricky. I think it's Luke, but it might be Ricky.
Yeah.
I don't want to read it. 150 million for Rice, no thank you as well. Not that one anyway. But yeah, Declan Rice, no, 100% no. Klopp won't buy anyone, says Gary. Yeah, not for that price, but can dream as well. And they put, Spearing 10, Milner 7. What dreams are made of in 2022?
Oh, Christ.
Depression, kids. It's just horrible. So horrible.
Gary's only been on loan for like what?
A week?
Best part, 48 hours or something.
Ricky ain't got it. Thank you, Luke, for that anyway. But yeah, as well. Well, Jack, I'll ask you 2 questions then before we do head off for tonight anyway. Do Liverpool go back in the market, and who could they go back in the market for for a midfielder? If you could name one, I shouldn't really say that because Barella's going to be the first name out of your mouth.
Chat, that's a revision chat as well. If you don't know a lot about Barella, go and
He
check
is phenomenal.
His defensive stats, and we all know the way Liverpool, and we spoke about strength defensively. Barella's recovery and his defensive stats are absolutely phenomenal at his time at Inter. He's so good. And for me, it will be Barella and only Barella. And I said about last night when I was speaking to chat, and we've mentioned today, I think it's not just one. I think we need to get two. Like two midfielders, but it's a case of if you can get the current crop of players. I don't think Liverpool will be able to offload two players like at this minute. I know we got rid of Tyler Morton, but I don't think he went down as the register. So ideally, Liverpool potentially could have got rid of Ox before he got injured, but now no one's, and he's only got a year left or 6 months, 8 months left on his contract anyway. So he's free to go come what the end of this year. So he'll end up at Leicester or West Ham or sort of next year at the end of the year. But yeah, and it was a big, and we said at the beginning of the season, then we come to chat as well. It said a lot when Milner got a contract.
Yeah, no, he did. 100%.
And he's 36, isn't he? That said a lot to me what Liverpool are planning to do next summer. But we need to do something at least
this summer.
Yeah,
100%. I'm just quickly looking at Barella's stats as well, and he is literally all high greens. He's in the top, 90%, 96, 96, 98% of players. He's in the top, 1 or 2% of being, amazing. In terms of, for a midfielder, goal scoring midfielders, defensive numbers and that and so on. I'm just looking at the list as well. He's been similar players they compare the players to based on stats. And practically 3rd, 4th, and 9th are all linked with Man City players, and that is Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva as well. So, I think he is a player that Liverpool do very well at Liverpool. I'd say at least anyway. But if the question for me, I don't think
Chat's going mad here.
Chat is going mad down below, and I will read him out in a minute. But for me, I don't think Liverpool are going back in for a midfielder. Sadly, I just don't. I just think Liverpool have just planned for next summer and gone right. We're just gonna, because 6 weeks, and again we've spoken about it. 6 weeks and lose you a Premier League title. And I can see down below people are going mental down below. But for me, I just don't think Liverpool are going to go back into the market anyway. Didn't Morton score at the weekend? Maybe. I think Leighton Clarkson scored.
I think it was one of the youngsters,
Leighton Clarkson scored, didn't he? Barella number 10 says Gary. I've heard Jack can play box to box from his bedroom to the toilet. That's a level in itself. His work rate that beats any Klopp's midfielders. Bring him in.
I'd definitely be on those inhalers there, Luke.
No, 100%. We shouldn't say that. I'd honestly bring Genie back on loan. Genie's currently out on Roma.
He's got Scholes. I don't know if you. I know you've been working busy, very busy.
Have you been Scholes?
He's been busy, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, he's been very busy.
Genie has literally gone to Roma, mate, and I loved it. I made up Ginny's getting the reception. All the Roma players, even Dybala, you only have to look at the reception. I'm hoping Roma's who win the City after this season, because I tell you what, Roma are one of the underdogs for this season. Tell you what.
So as well said, talks broken down. Jack and Julian Ward unable to agree personal terms. What happened?
He wanted to live next door to me, and what is it? Yeah, Jay Speedon wouldn't sell his house, so yeah.
For God's sake. Get Mascherano back. I'd love that, to be fair, but unfortunately he's retired. At this rate, get Stevie G back as well. Jet wanted more money for sitting on his island. For God's sake. For God's sake. For a treat at the end of the game, Jet. I'm not going to read that fully, completely anyway.
I love a kebab anyway. I think we all do at the weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah. Anyway, it's been a great stream, lad. Anyway,
it has been a very good stream. Anyway, and look, it has been depressing over the last couple of days talking about the Fulham game. But look, again, it's the start of the season. Don't take anything for granted at the minute, guys. As well, and again, things could change from now literally tomorrow now, Liverpool could literally sign a midfielder, and then we'll be making a video on that as well. Anyway, as Jack said, yeah, good point. It's bad when you have re-download YouTube. Your boy is off till Wednesday now. Let me in the transfer center as well. We'll subscribe. Well, Jack's already subscribed.
Yeah, I was going to
anyway,
say, come and support us and the boys on all their channels, goals.
Love it, guys, as well. It says the Internet podcast. Liverpool will be champions. I bloody hope so, Gary.
Hopefully, Gary. I'm hoping we do win the league by 15 points, and then, but hopefully.
Nathan Bloody Redman, get in the bin, lads. Great stream, lads, as well. And of course, it feels like we scout potential transfers at the A&E department. Don't worry, that's
definitely
Chris's comment.
You'll definitely see Naby Keita there, and Ox as well. So. Yeah,
100%. Leave him Naby alone. Anyway, but
I can't wait for the day he's gone, mate.
Like, no, he's a good player. Like, you look at the stats, he's a good player. Just injured quite a lot, and on the medical table, he's literally got his own character now in Casualty, for a couple of weeks anyway. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's show. Anyway, hopefully Liverpool will, of course, have news about transfers over the next couple of weeks. Anyway, I think it's still 26 days till the window is shut or something like that. Anyway,
I dream of a day where I wake up and Liverpool have submitted a bid for Barella. And then Fabrizio goes, "Here we go."
You'd hope
and then,
so.
yeah.
You'd bloody hope so.
I would, well, I'm not even going to say what I'd do, like, if we actually did sign him. But, yeah.
Yeah, I take it.
If I speak, I'll be in big trouble.
Yeah, very much big trouble. Anyway, but guys, big thank you to each and every single one of you anyway for tuning in. Anyway, please head over to Jack's channel as well. If any mods can leave any links in the chat, very much appreciated as well. You got anything coming up? Of course, I will be on Jack's channel regularly now. I think we're 7 o'clock, is it now?
Yeah, I'm going to change my time as of next week on next Monday. I'm going to be making Connor very much a regular panelist on the show because, as Lottie has mentioned, I prefer doing my shows, and I spoke about it yesterday as well. I prefer doing the shows with Connor or any other guests as well.
I'm getting paid about 12 Jaffa kicks, so I'm happy.
Pink Panther wafers as well. Yeah, do you like them?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
There it goes. But yeah, thank you very much, mate, for having me on. I will be live tomorrow. I think it should be at 9, but there will be an episode. But as always, mate, thank you very much. And most importantly, everyone, thank you to every single one of you that does continue to support me, Connor, and everyone's channels as well. Absolute legends. Hope you have a lovely rest of your night. Yeah. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely, 100%. Of course, we will be live again tomorrow at 9 o'clock anyway. And as well, before we do head off as well, big thank you to each and every single one of you. I haven't really mentioned it tonight, but we did hit 700 subscribers. So big thank you.
Go ahead. That should have been your intro, lot.
Like, no, because I mentioned it on Twitter and people went mental on Twitter.
Yes.
About it being a good
700, thing, the first 700 of many, lads.
Hopefully. Anyway. But Oswald said I did have a Naby Keita emoji, but that's even injured as well. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway, but we'll leave it with that anyway, to be fair. And of course, go and subscribe onto Jack's channel as well. But hopefully, guys, all of you have had a fantastic day. Hopefully, you've enjoyed tonight's video as well. And hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow again at 9 o'clock for yet another episode anyway. But I've been Connor from the Cop Council. I'll see you all then. Ta-ra.